Hey, welcome to Tabletop Skirmish Games. I'm Lee, and in this video we'll be going through all the assembly guide and options to build the Blooded Kill team from the Moroch box set. In this video I'll be going through all the options to build your Blooded Kill team. We'll take a look at the sprues, we'll be going into detail from the instruction book provided in the box set, and also look at the different operatives that are featured in the rules book. And then at the end I'll show you all the models like this one that I've built for my kill team. I'll also be putting up a video for the Phobos strike team as well, and going through the rule book, the different operatives and the instruction options, just like I'm doing here with the Blooded Kill team. To get started, I would definitely recommend having a good look at the sprues and the different components. Look at all the heads, because there are a ton of heads included for this Blooded Kill team. Choose the ones you like. Some of them aren't going to fit into the torso, so you're going to have to do a little bit of kit bash in there, bit of trimming to get it to work, but I would recommend spending that time. Also look for weapons you like, and then when you start going through the two books, that's going to really help you decide which operatives to go with as well. Because if you're going with the rule of cool and you want to go with specific looking models, then I think the sprue is a good place to start. If you're looking more for tactics and the rules, then this book is going to be the one to look at. But we'll be going through everything here, and then hopefully that'll give you a good idea as to what you can do and the direction you want to take with your building. There are some really great parts on these sprues. They're really awesome. And this one really stands out to me, the shotgun. Now I'm going to be keeping this for my Catachans when I'm building that army. And that's going to go to probably one of the veterans. I think it's just an awesome weapon the way they've put it together there. So I'll just trim the arm and things like that and make that work. But really having a look at this, you can see there's tons of great things on there. This is a fantastic rifle here with all the details. So yeah, there's lots to like about these sprues. And you're going to have loads of options to put together the different operatives and then use the other parts left over for other projects. So once you've had a good look at the sprues, then it's time to dive into the two books. So let's start with the rule book first, and then we'll go through the different options that you can build with the instructions. So in here, you're going to flick through and find the Blooded Kill team, and then we'll have a look at the operatives. And you're going to find that on page 52. So this is the bit that tells you how many you can include. So if you wanted to build lots of different ones, then you might not be able to include them as one kill team. So really worth having a look at this page 52, and it tells you here for the operatives you can have one traitor chieftain, so you can only include one of those, so not really any point building two. Then you can have 9 operatives selected from this following list. So that's the grenadier, butcher, commsman, corpsman, flenser, different gunners. So you can have one gunner with a bayonet and flamer, and you can have another one with a bayonet and grenade launcher. There's also a gunner with a bayonet and melter gun, and a fourth with a bayonet and plasma gun. Then you've got the sharpshooter, the thug, the trench sweeper, and the trooper. Then from this blooded section here, you can choose 4 operatives, but the traitor enforcer and the traitor ogrin count as 2 selections, so you can only have 2 models here. But if you go with the traitor troopers, you're allowed to have 4 of those models. There's also going to be some conditions here as to how many you can have in your kill team. So the traitor trooper, you could have all of those. You could just choose 9 traitor troopers if you wanted to from there, and 4 from there. But the others can only be 1 inclusion each. So for each of these, the grenadier, butcher, commsman example, you can only have 1 of those in your kill team, and then you can only have up to 2 traitor gunner options. So from these 4 gunners here, you're only going to be able to field 2 of them. So if you look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 different options, and you've got to pick 9 from there. You can't have 2 of the gunners, so that's going to bring you down to 11, and so from the remaining 11 you've got to pick 9 out of that. But of course, as well as fielding your kill team, you can have your roster where you can have all the different options and then select the operatives you want for that particular mission, and that's really what kill team's all about. But you are only going to get 12 models. You're going to get the enforcer and the ogrin, and then you're going to get 10 other models, so you can't build all of these because you haven't got enough of the options. So you are going to have to take some hits here if you've only got one kit, so really take your time and decide which ones you like. There are some ways to double up, which I'll show you later on, so you could have one model that could easily represent two of the different operatives. So that's one way to do it. And I did that with my Deathcore of Krieg models from the Octarius box set, and that worked out really well because I got lots of options, but I didn't have to buy another kit, and it's very clear to the other player as well which weapon I'll be using for each of them. So yeah, I'll show you that later on for the Krieg, so you can see how I did it, and I'll also show you how you could do it for the Blooded Kill Team when we have a look at the built models. So this is a really important part of your decision making, I think, to put together, especially if you only want one kit. And then to help you decide further, you can go through and look at all the data cards, see which jumps out to you, see which ones you like. For me, I always like snipers, so the first model I built was the Traitor Sharpshooter, so I didn't care what other options were going to be included to build that model with the different parts. I was always going to build the Sharpshooter, so that's a good idea as well. Choose the models you really like first and then build out from there. Also, you're going to get the Traitor Ogrin and the Commissar as well, or not Commissar, they call the Traitor Enforcer here. You're going to get those models with no options, which you'll see as we have a look at the instructions in a second. And so, you know, just build those because you can't build them in any other way anyway. So there we go. That's where I would go with the book. Have a look at the operatives and which ones you can include in your kill team. Then go through all the data cards, see which ones jump out to you, and then build out from there. Have a look at the stats for the different gunner weapons. Maybe you like one over the other, and then that's a really good way to do it. So now we've had a look at that section in the rules. Now let's have a look at the instruction book. Here's the instruction book, and if we go here to this section, 10 to 23, you're going to get the Blooded Kill Team. Now for the first model, right away, you can either build the Traitor Chieftain, a Traitor Trooper, or a Traitor Corpsman. So you've got three options there. So I think whichever way you build the special operatives, like for example, if you built a Corpsman, you could easily use that as a trooper because a lot of them have got rifles, and it's just really easy to proxy that. So I don't worry too much about the trooper options. I always look at the two like special operatives and which way to go. For my particular kill team, I want to play them as some kind of like cannibals. That's the theme I'm going with. And I really don't think they're going to heal each other. If anything, they want each other to die so they can eat them. But that's the way I'm going. So for me, the Corpsman isn't going to feature in my kill team. So that was the really first easy decision for me. I could just build the Chieftain and I didn't have to worry about the other variations. As you go through building the different models, you'll find some of them have different options for the heads, which you can see here. Now these 5 are going to fit perfectly into that torso. You won't have to make any modifications. If you want to use any other heads, then they're not going to fit perfectly. You'll have to trim them up, glue them, and maybe just fill them in a little bit. So just be aware of that. But there's no reason why you can't use any heads you want if you're prepared to do that. You've also got some options for the pistols here for the Chieftain, and for the different melee weapon. I've gone for this kind of hatchet because that fits in with the idea that they're like butchers, cannibals, so I really like that. And of course, there's no reason why you can't proxy that for the stats on the data card for the sword, the power sword, and the chain sword. You could do that no problem, as long as your opponent's happy and you make it clear before you start the game. So that's how I kind of think about which one to do. I don't want that. This can be anybody I can proxy for, and so this is the option. So it's just reducing it down towards the model you'd like to build. And now we go on to the next one. We've got again the option for the trooper. Here now we've got a gunner though and a thug. So this could be a decision. If you really wanted to melt a gunner in that position, then you're going to sacrifice being able to build the thug like that. But one thing I found is the arms do go on most of the torsos really easily. So if you wanted to, say for example, build that weapon but on this body, you could do that no problem. The arms are going to glue on. It's just the head that is going to be slightly different. So yeah, that's the only really thing you're going to have to trim are the heads, and then looking at what poses you want them in. So really, you could study this and almost build them however you like, as long as you're prepared to put that extra bit of work in. But I tried to do that as little as possible so I could get them built quite quickly. But I chose to do the thug for this one because I'm not giving them any heavy weapons other than the flamer, and again building that into that theme that they've got a lot of knives. They want to get in the close combat, they want to like cut people up, they've got the flamer to torch them. I don't really think that the heavy weapons fit in with the narrative I'm going with my kill team, but you might want to use it. So that's something to decide there. Do you have the thug, or do you have the gunner here with the melter gun? And then down here, I've done a little swap up. You can see with this model, I've used this torso, C33 and C34, with the weapon option from 15C. So I mixed that up a little bit, and I used the head from there as well in here and just trimmed it so it fit really well. So that's my option for one of the gunners, and the only one I'm going to be using. But if you wanted to, there's no reason why you couldn't just build 2 gunners and give them 2 weapons each. So for example, build the flamer and then get this plasma gun, trim off the hands off the piece off the sprue, and then glue that to his back as if he's carrying it, so he's got like a second weapon on him, and then you can just choose, depending on the mission, which one you have. So if you build 2 gunner options and put the other gun on the back, you're going to have all 4 gunner options on those 2 models. So that's another little way you can do it, and that's what I did with the Krieg, which I'll show you later on. As we keep going, you can see that we've got a trooper and the sharpshooter. Now this is the one I built first, so this was really easy for me. I'm going to build that one regardless, and of course I can use it as a trooper. So that was no problem at all. But some of the troopers actually look pretty cool. Like this one I built as a trooper just because I liked the way it looked. But I also liked this guy, so I put his weapons and head on a different body. And so we'll see that later on. I chose a different body and went with that. So you've got like options for just a trooper, like this one here. So this is the body where he's running, he's got a gun. You can't really tell. It kind of looks like it's part of that, but that's a separate model build, but no other options. So you can only build that as a trooper. So what I thought I'd do was take the weapons and head from this, put it on there, and then that gives me that model. And then I can build this one because I really liked the pose and the way it looked. I didn't want a commsman in my kill team, so I've left him out. So that was something that was an easy decision for me as well. I just don't think that fit the narrative I wanted to go with. Then over here, we've got another trooper, a gunner. This is a really easy weapon just to trim up and put over the shoulder on the back, so you could do that no problem. And then the traitor butcher, and this is one of the characters I wanted to be one of my main ones. So I was definitely building him. And then I thought if I wanted to, I could use that for like just a separate weapon on one of the other gunners, but I'm actually going to keep that and use it for my Katachans in a separate project. And then over here we got another option of 3. You got 2 different troopers you can put together. This one looks pretty cool, but I couldn't pass up the trench sweeper. That shield is really cool. So that was another model I had to build, and that was the second one I built after I built the sharpshooter. And so once you got to that stage, you've then got the 2 ones that are left, the Enforcer and the Ogrin, and they're going to come on that smaller sprue with no options, so you just build them as you see them. The Ogrin does has an option of a different face. Had to give him that one though. I mean, with the claw and everything, that just fit him really well. So you could use that face if you wanted to. So that's the only option you get with those 2 models. So I found this a lot easier than the Octarius set with the Krieg. I found, because of the narrative I was going for, that really made a lot of the decisions for me. But if you want to include things like Commsman or the Corsman, I think you could easily do it by taking the components and putting it on another model, and no problem at all to use them all as regular troopers. But there we go. Hopefully that's given you a good idea of the instruction book, the different options you can get, and some ideas to double up on some of those operatives. But now I'll show you the models I built for my kill team, and then I'll also bring out those Krieg models where they're relevant and show you how I put the 2 different heavy weapons or special weapons together, 2 on one of the models. Here's the first model I built. This is the sharpshooter. Brilliant model. I love snipers, and I just really like this one. They've really got an apocalyptic feel to them as well, so I think this is going to fit in brilliant, not just for kill team, but for other games. And I'll certainly be using them in some zombie games of Weekend Warriors, and I can't wait for that. I think they're perfect for this. But here he is, the sharpshooter. Nice model, nice pose. Looks a bit menacing, doesn't look like your normal kind of sharpshooter, a bit hunched over, so really cool. And I love the cloak and how it's like worn away and things like that. So there's the first one, and then I built 2 troopers. This is the first one I built. I just loved the pose. I like that rifle with the knife as well. Just thought it looked really good, so I went with that one. So I did this over one of the other operatives with the special weapon because I just really liked the way it looked. So I was going for the rule of cool this time. And the same for this one. This is the second trooper I built. I like this. So I'm thinking about other games as well as Kill Team in my build this time. The rucksack's really great on the back. So yeah, this is definitely going to fit in with a nice zombie kind of game. Next up, we've got the Grenadier. I really like this one as well. Great pose. Can certainly use this as a trooper. We've got the rifle slung over the shoulder. So that was a really good one. Who knows what's in this pouch here? Could be anything. Looks like some kind of limbs. Maybe he's going to eat those later. That's the plan with these. But the good thing with Kill Team about using like troopers like this alongside the operatives, I think it makes it easier when you're playing. You haven't got so many rules to think about. So it's nice to have a mix of them. Although at first you want to build all of the operatives, maybe for practical reasons when playing, it's nice to have some that are the same. So having a few troopers in there are going to make things a little bit easier, especially when you're playing it for the first few games, because those rules can be pretty wordy and lengthy when you're layering them up on top of each other. But there we go. There's the Grenadier. Here we've got the Butcher, and this is a really great model. I love this one. Fantastic. Such a sinister looking character. It's got a head on the spikes there, got an axe, a big cleaver. So this one's a really nice one. Really easy decision for me to make that one. Now we've got the Flenser, and this is the one I built on a different body. So with the Flenser model, I built this trooper here, but I thought the Flenser looked good running, so it was really handy to be able to swap him over for that other regular trooper. So I think that worked out nicely. I did have to trim the head a little bit, but you know, if you looked really closely, you might see a gap. But if you know, by the time it's painted, you're not going to see that. So for me, that worked out well enough, and I'm really happy with it. And I think it suits the whole narrative with this guy. He's running towards them with the two knives there. So great. He'll be a really good assassin kind of character. Now we've got the Thug, and now this was a tricky one because if you build the Thug, you lose one of the gunners. You lose the melter gun. So what I thought you could easily do is take the Sprue here, grab the melter gun, trim off the hand, trim off that hand as well, and then you could just stick that gun onto his back, and then, you know, he's got plenty of room there to carry it. You put it down here maybe, and then so he can be both, whichever you want to choose for each mission. So just very similar as I did with this model here for my Krieg. So I've made him where he can be a regular trooper. He's also got this here so he can be one of the other operatives, and on the back he's got one of the weapons so he can be the plasma if I wanted to as well. So he could actually be 3 different ones, the same as this one. He could be the Thug, he could be a trooper, and then with a weapon on the back he could also be the gunner. So you'll have 3 options for the different missions with him too. Here I've got the Flamer, and so I like the Flamer, but I did put him on a different body. So again, trimmed that head up, and you can't tell, that's fitted in really snug. Didn't need a lot of trimming actually to get that to work, and so that's a really nice model. Again, lots of room on the back if you want to put a different weapon on there and have 2 options during the game. Here we've got the Trench Sweeper. You know, I could like this one a lot more than the Sharpshooter actually. I think this is probably my favourite model. It looks brilliant and just great for 40k, but also for other games. Again, if you're playing a zombie game, this guy would be brilliant in it, or some kind of apocalyptic game. Yeah, I think this is just awesome. So fantastic model. Really glad they included this. That shield is really great. Nice bit of damage here, and then they patched it up a bit. So they did a great job with this one. So this was no decision for me. It was either this or 2 options for troopers, but yeah, had to include this one. Then we've got the Chieftain here, and so I've put this pistol, I put that cleaver, got the spikes with a few heads on the back. So really nice model. I chose the face that looked the most like some kind of cannibal weirdo, and I think that's worked out nicely. So yeah, that's really cool. So great model to lead this little kill team into battle. Then there's the Ogrin, and again, just the only choice really is for the face, but with all this other claw business going on, he had to have that face. That suits him a lot better. So really nice, this one. Not as big as you think it's going to be. If you compare it to this guy, the Enforcer, it's really not that big, but still nice model. And they've done a really good job with this. You've probably seen it before in Blackstone Fortress if you've checked out those expansions. But here's the Enforcer as well. I love the photos of this, how they painted that fist in red. So I'll be copying that. That looked really great. And yeah, he's going to be a nice addition to the kill team as well. I've grabbed a few more of the Krieg models just to show you the different options you've got as well. So here, this is the Spotter. And then what I did is I put this down here so I can also use him as the Demolition. So it's just adding the little weapons or the features on there to make them work in both ways. And we've seen this guy already, so he can be like 2 or 3 options as well. The Flamer I left as the Flamer because I really liked it. And then this guy here, again, you can have 2 different heavy weapons. So I put this one on there, and then on the back the melter. So all I did with this was trim it down. Again, it was the same thing with the hands, just trimmed it off. And by the time you've painted it and got it nice and smooth, you're not going to tell. So you could certainly do that with this blooded kill team, and that'll give you lots of options. Then you could just have this one kit, build most of the operatives from there, and then not have to worry about picking up another one or not having the options for the other operatives in your game. I hope you found this video helpful, and hope it gave you some ideas about how you can multiply the different operatives with the models included. And I'll be doing another video for the Phobos strike team that was included in this box set as well, so look out for that. That was a lot more straightforward for me than these, so nice and easy one, but I'll still do another video just so you can have a look at the options, especially if you haven't bought it yet and want to see what you can get for the box. Hopefully that's going to help you out. If you would like to get hold of the box set, then I'll put some links in the description below. They'll be to Element Games and Wayland Games, where you can save up to 20% off the RRP. And for every sale made through a link, you also support the channel, as I get a small commission for every sale made. So if you do that, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. It really helps me to keep going with these daily videos. I've also done some videos for the unboxing, and I'll be going through the terrain as well and the terrain rules, so you can see what that's like assembled with some miniatures alongside for a good idea of scale. So look out for those coming soon here on the channel. But for now, thanks so much for watching. Please like if you liked it, subscribe for more videos like this, and don't forget to hit that notification bell to join me next time on Tabletop Skirmish Games. I'd like to say a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters who make these daily videos possible, and if you're interested in joining the community, it'd be awesome to see you there, and I'll put a link for that in the description down below.